My brothers and sisters, you are now watching the Gamer 2323, so just forget about the chores you're supposed to do. Put your feet up, get your Kool-Aid, fried chicken, popcorn, get whatever you may need! And I hope you enjoy the video. When you think of Ubisoft today, the first thing that probably comes to your head is the ongoing Assassin's Creed franchise. Maybe Far Cry or Rainbow Six Siege. Possibly even Watch Dogs. Oh my god, how could I forget about their biggest IP ever that we all love? Just Dance. Okay, but in all seriousness, Ubisoft is a widely popular video game company with a long track record of video games and history underneath their belt. A company that, whether you love or despise their games, are one of the more successful, well-known game developers in the industry today. Over the years, however, with recent generations of consoles, the company seems to have adopted a reoccurring formula when it comes to their video game making that may be doing more harm than good to the company. This is Ubisoft, a fall from grace. The Ubisoft of today definitely has a different ring to the ears of gamers compared to a few generations ago. Beloved franchises like Rayman came out swinging, literally, on platforms like the Atari Jaguar, PlayStation 1, and others back in 1995, instantly becoming a platforming favorite of many, myself included, during the early days of the franchise. I gotta say, till this day, Rayman Legends has to be one of the best platforming games I've ever had the privilege of playing. I don't use the word masterpiece and Ubisoft in the same sentence often, but the game had everything and more you would want from a platformer. Fun gameplay, beautiful eye-popping visuals, great stage design and creativity, which led to high critically acclaimed praise from multiple game outlets. That wouldn't translate to good enough units sold at the beginning, however, as the game started off with sluggish sales and had failed to meet Ubisoft's sales expectations. Even with Rayman Legends over time becoming the highest selling Rayman video game of all time, with just over 4.4 million copies sold as of February 4th, 2019, it took over 18 years to do it, despite the game being on a mouthful of platforms. Since then, another actual main installment to the Rayman series hasn't been done since 2013. Ah yes, Prince of Persia. And no, not that god-awful remake. Good Lord have mercy. Suckers was really about to drop that. This series became an immediate hit for the company when it launched back in late 2003, selling over 2 million copies worldwide before the year even ended. Yo, I still remember playing that game back in the day on PS2. My little mind being blown. I can control time! Yo! The Prince of Persia games instantly shot up the charts, becoming one of Ubisoft's more popular game series during its time. Hell, the game got its own movie several years later. The Sands of Time remake, if you want to call it that was shown off last year, was originally supposed to release back in January of this year, but has since been delayed indefinitely. As of today, the future of Prince of Persia looks bleak and unknown. Splinter Cell. I mean, do I really have to say anything else? At one point being the company's flagship franchise, selling more than 33 million copies throughout the whole series, Splinter Cell was looked at as one of the best stealth shooter games, rivaling in many ways the popular Metal Gear Solid series. With fans asking for the return of the series for several years now, lots of commercial success and even its own novels to follow, you would think that Splinter Cell would still be a primary focus for Ubisoft. Only, it's been the complete opposite. All comeback pleas have seemed to have fallen on deaf ears. The last installment, Splinter Cell Blacklist, having dropped in October of 2013, garnered a little over 2 million copies worldwide and was said to have also failed to meet sales expectations for Ubisoft after receiving generally positive reviews from media outlets. Come to find out, that game would end up being the last installment to the series. At least up until this point. Back during E3 2017, Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot said regarding the series, "I can't say much about that. but for sure, all the Clancy games are taken care of. It's just we have quite a lot on our plate at the moment. All the Clancy games are really coming along, so we are not forgetting Splinter Cell. 2 years later, in a 2019 interview with IGN on their show, IGN Unfiltered, Yeez was asked again why fans haven't seen a return from Sam Fisher and why the series has gone dark for so long. He responded with, "When you create a game, you have to make sure you will come with something that will be different enough from what you did before. Last time we did a Splinter Cell, we had lots of pressure from all the fans saying, don't change it, don't do this, don't do that. So some of the teams are more anxious to work on the brand." Long story short, however, is outside of making a cameo as a playable operator in the Operation Shadow Legacy season of Rainbow Six Siege, Sam Fisher's old ass hasn't been seen or heard. Far Cry. Say what you will about the franchise as of today, but a few years back, this series was one of the more popular open-world action-adventure first-person shooters that quickly caught the attention of many gamers, seeing tons of commercial success throughout the series, bringing in over 50 million sales. Nearing up to 15 total installments with the franchise between the main series and spin-offs, the Far Cry series today is easily one of Ubisoft's more known franchises, with Far Cry 6 nearing close to its release. Despite the popularity of the series, however, I wouldn't exactly say it's been for the better. In my opinion, and I'm sure for many others, the Far Cry games peaked during the Far Cry 3 era. Since then, you can make a strong argument and say that the Far Cry games afterwards haven't really done or offer anything new to the series, other than new price tags when a new one drops. We all know pretty much what to expect from them now. Somehow, you and some friends get trapped on an island, things go wrong, enter a psychotic villain that tries to bring the magic and presence that Vaz had in Far Cry 3. I still don't get why he was killed off so early, which leads to you shooting armies of people, invading camps to shoot more people, climbing tower beacons to open up more of the map to explore to shoot even more people, shooting animals then skinning them. In the words of Low Tier God, "It's the same old fucking shit!" And this is a glaring issue we see in most Ubisoft games today. We know what to expect from their games more often than not before we even play them. Their entire open world formula at this point is like eating crusty 1-week-old leftovers. Good at one point, but don't hit the same because you've had it too much. It also seems like every game they do nowadays has to be some sort of open world. No more linear games from Ubisoft in this era. Oh no, we don't do that here. This has become a huge problem, not only from Ubisoft, but just in gaming in general. I don't think none of us have a problem with playing actual good open world based games, but a lot of them, especially from these suckers, oftentimes feel like a chore to play. Your game can be as open as it wants to be, but what's the point if your world is uninteresting, dull, with the same recycled side quest filler crap stuffed all over to make it look like there's a ton to do when there really ain't? Ubisoft, in my opinion, has fell too deep in love with the appeal that open world games have, or used to have a few years ago, when in their case, less could mean more. Y'all are not Rockstar, sucker, and that's not an insult. No one is. I actually didn't make this video to rag on just how trash Ubisoft has become. Like, I really didn't. A lot of their games, in my opinion, actually have good concepts. Watch Dogs, The Division, For Honor, Far Cry, hell, even The Crew. But their execution throughout the years has been questionable, to say the least. Could it be due to their running the ground formula that they tend to stick to? Them working on too many damn games at once? The higher ups getting in the way of things? I don't know. But what I do know is seeing great game series like Rayman, Prince of Persia, Beyond Good and Evil, what's the update on that? Splinter Cell, and more get thrown into the backseat seemingly because of the last iteration failing to meet your sales expectations, or getting pressure from fans not to screw up, or you not being able to somehow make an open world game out of it? is not the answer. I understand this is a business at the end of the day. These developers don't put in all these millions upon millions of dollars on these games to not make a profit. My question is, at what cost? Ubisoft at one point used to be a higher tier developer. One where we looked forward to playing their games or being excited seeing what new IPs they were working on. Today, it's turned into a slow but steady fall from grace.